Bralove, and I am a licensed clinical social worker and psychotherapist in the DC area, and I specialize in working with women who are trauma survivors and domestic violence survivors. Today we gather together as women, sisters, mothers, daughters, and allies. We gather together to speak truth. We gather together to be brave. We gather together to fight shame and stigma. We gather together to unite in our belief that victims of sexual assault cannot and will not be silenced. We gather together to honor Dr. Christine Blasey Ford and all the women who've come before her in their courageous acts of speaking truth. Of course, we believe her and them. As a psychotherapist for the past 17 years, it has been an honor to witness countless women confront and heal from sexual assault, rape, and childhood sexual abuse. I have seen ordinary women courageously tell me about incidents that changed their lives forever, many of whom had never told anyone until they shared their stories with me in the safety of a therapy office, sometimes even 30 years later. Of course, I believed them. Sadly, in all my years of counseling women, what I am most struck by is how many women minimize their own experiences of sexual violence out of fear of the consequences of speaking up. Not only do they not make up stories, but in fact they go to great lengths to explain away or excuse what has been done to them. I've often heard, well, since he didn't have a gun or a knife, it wasn't that big of a deal. Or, it's not like he raped me. He just forced me to have sex with him when I said no. I cannot remember hearing one story of sexual assault or rape that did not include the victim blaming herself, feeling guilty, and wondering what she could have done differently. If only I hadn't drank that last beer. If only I hadn't said he could walk me home. If only I had fought back. If only. Instead of blaming ourselves, why are we not demanding more from the communities in which we live? If only we lived in a culture that believed women and girls. If only we lived in a culture where boys knew their behavior at any age mattered. If only we could promise our daughters that if God forbid they become the victim of sexual violence, that we will believe them no matter what. But no, we cannot guarantee that type of safety. Christine Blasey Ford is finding that out the hard way. We should all feel grateful to Dr. Blasey Ford for her courage to speak, her courage to risk her entire life for truth-telling. May her bravery serve as fuel to our fire as we all demand that truth and justice prevail. When discussing sexual assault in America, we cannot overlook the shame, secrecy, and stigma associated with this epidemic. Why did Christine Blasey Ford remain silent for so many years? Perhaps because this is exactly what she feared, that she would be demonized, harassed, and called a liar. We must create a community in which all people are believed when they reveal trauma or abuse, no matter their race, gender, sexual orientation, or socioeconomic status. Researcher Dr. Brene Brown defines shame as the intensely painful feeling that we are unworthy of love and belonging. Unfortunately, far too many women in this country experience the shame that directly stems from sexual assault or sexual harassment. According to Dr. Brown, shame needs 3 things to grow: secrecy, silence, and judgment. Shame cannot survive being spoken. It cannot survive empathy. Tonight we hope to show Dr. Blasey Ford and every other survivor of sexual violence that we are with you and appreciate your courage. Together we must create a culture in which sexual assault survivors are met with greater empathy and less judgment. There is no expiration date on trauma. There is no expiration date on truth-telling. There is no expiration date on pain. We do not get to judge how and when each individual processes his or her trauma. Our responsibility is to listen with empathy, and believe those who are brave enough to speak. That empathy starts and ends with believing women, period. Of course we believe her.